Okay, so I find it rather appealing, as I said, that how Rashi brings this idea of religious tolerance into Judaism, that God really accepts any religion, especially if a person is ignorant, this is the religion he's brought up with, why should he be held accountable? And he could actually be considered to be a righteous person, even in another religion. Now, so those are basically the two views of Chasidei Umos HaOlam. There are other views as well, but those are two major views. Rambam, which says Chasidei Umos HaOlam can only be someone who believes in Torah as we Orthodox Jews do, and keeps the 7 laws of Noah because of that belief. And Rashi, who says that any pious, good person from any religion is considered a Chasidei Umos HaOlam. And that passage in Malachi actually seems to say that they could be even better than a Jew who might be lacking in something, particularly we're talking about ethically, even if he's a religious Jew. Now, those are the two views. Now, Mr. Gaznel, or Rabbi Gaznel, Dr. Gaznel, I'll give him all the titles, he said that what the Rambam says is Mei Chasidei Umos HaOlam, that what his definition is someone who's from the Chasidei Umos HaOlam. And Rashi says Chasidei Umos HaOlam, and that's a nice diuk. My Rosh Hashiva, Rav Abba Braunspiegel, Shlita should have Shlema. He always taught us that you have to be medayik in every ois of the Rambam, that every letter of every Rishon, but particular Rambam, that we can learn something from each and every letter. So why did he say Elu mei Chasidei Umos HaOlam instead of Elu Chasidei Umos HaOlam? All right, that meaning that these are among the righteous of the nations, but not exclusive, and so and in that way we show that the Rashi and the Rambam are not mutually exclusive. Perhaps the believer has some aspect which is superior, meaning like a believer who is also pious and moral and ethical, of course, might have an advantage spiritually or something better about him than the non-believer or the idolater. However, they could both be considered Chasidei Umos HaOlam as a nice diuk, and I say Yasher Koach. At first when I thought about it, it seemed a little bit doichek. It seemed like he's pushing a little bit, and it didn't really seem to fit. But when I think about it, that they're not two mutually exclusive ideas. That the Rashi and the Rambam are thereby reconciled. That and perhaps those Mei Chasidei Umos HaOlam might we can conjecture perhaps might be a bit better, but although he talks about Chachamehu and all these things, so it's hard to say exactly. Simple pshat in the Rambam is that you probably wouldn't be medayik in that mem. That it's just talking about Chasidei Umos HaOlam, and the mem really would not be significant in the simple pshat. But I say Yasher Koyach in pointing out that diuk that we could reconcile both, and that the general term of Chasidei Umos HaOlam could mean really from any religion. Now, as far as what if it's a Satmar view, this and that, it's really, again, it's an irrelevant question, as I explained before. The relevant question is, what's the Torah's view? And so therefore, that's just the same. Incidentally, it's interesting that in Psalm 117, where it says, "Praise the Lord, all ye nations, laud him, all ye peoples." So Rabbi Moshe Feinstein says that's talking. He says that's talking about the Chasidei Umos HaOlam. So there's certainly. And they should all offer praise, and all people should all offer praise to God. And thank you for joining us again. If you have any more questions, please mention in the comments below. But again, so that's a beautiful thing that we do accept. I would say that definitely a Torah view that all good people from any religion or even no religion at all are accepted by God. And in many ways, even though we do believe that our faith is the true faith, you can have, that's the lesson of that passage in Malachi, that you could have the high priest in the temple doing all the religious things, but missing, even in a slight way, in their ethics and interpersonal relations and how they deal with other people, and that they would be inferior in a sense. And I have another video on that which you can see elsewhere. They would really be inferior to a heathen who worships idols but is a good person, is ethical and moral. So it's certainly Judaism is a religion which values action. We always, generally, a lot of folks say, Judaism is a religion of action, and Christianity is a religion of faith. And I don't really agree with that, because I do believe that Judaism is a religion of faith, and that you cannot call yourself a member of Judaism. I'm not saying not a Jew, but a member of Judaism, a practitioner, a believer in Judaism without the faith of our basic dogmas, which have generally been accepted as the 13 principles of Maimonides. However, within that faith of what has been revealed and what we accept as dogma, from there we have the belief of tolerance and love and accepting of all religions, even the false religions. Although on a practical sense, in the old days there was the commandment to wipe out idolatry. Now we don't have our own sovereignty. That's not something that I don't think really, in essence, we're ever going to have those mitzvahs again, because when the Messiah comes, all the idolaters will abandon idolatry on their own. So we won't need to do anything as far as wiping out idolatry. And certainly today that we're in exile, we have no right, even in the Holy Land, to go and have anything insulting to other religions. We're in exile. We have no, and even though they're wrong, but we can be true to our beliefs in that. But that's because of the situation we're in and so forth. And that's how it was. That's how it was throughout even the Second Temple period. Whereas the Jews gave up idolatry, there were idolaters in the Holy Land, and yet the Jews never fought to wipe them out the way they did in the First Temple times. They accepted their authority. It was only, for example, in the Maccabean times, was not a fight of Jews against Greeks, but Jews against Hellenized Jews. And similarly, and in the Roman times, the people who were fighting mostly did not have the approval of the rabbis. And also that was even in self-defense. It wasn't a matter of wiping out idolatry. So, although we oppose idolatry, we recognize as realists that we live in a society that's not perfect, and we should rather focus on, in general society, the basic moral and ethical family values, value of life, and those type of issues, as opposed to particularly religious issues of faith, unless that person wants to identify as a Jew and call his religion Judaism. That's the point where we can put our foot down in matters of faith. And even at that, the fact of the matter is, most Jews who call their religions Judaism do not accept those dogmas. And so there's not even what to talk about. We're living in a very imperfect society, and we're waiting for the Messiah patiently. And so this attitude, and you want to ask, what's the Satmar view? That's essential to what everything the Satmar taught, is that we have to live in peace with everyone around us, because we have no right to impose our ways on other people. We just want to live our lives and not get involved with with other people so much. However, there are certain times when we do have to stand up and defend ourselves politically, but not violently. Never in exile do we have permission to violence. Although the Satmarov was upset and did oppose how the state of Israel supported other faiths, as opposed to being tolerant of other faiths. Actually, as opposed to how in America we have freedom of religion and an establishment clause that there is no federal religion. In Israel, they don't have that, and so all the religions had to take the European model of, it's not all of Europe, but many European countries have that all the religions are state-sponsored. And that's problematic because they're sponsoring these other religions, which is something which is problematic. But if they would have merely tolerated them without sponsoring them, then it would have been a different story, it would seem, although there's other things. And he was very upset at the Agudas Yisrael for wanting to have a seat in the Misrad Datot, to be sitting together with these others. So, that was what the Satmarov himself expressed. There are other Rabbanim who have different views as far as interfaith work and so forth. Although he certainly has a strong point there as far as the support. All right, thank you very much for joining us again. Please, if you like our videos, share them, subscribe, and thank you for joining us. And we'll see you again next week. And if you have any questions you want us to address next time, you can put them in the comments below. All right, God bless you. Take care.